Alright gang, here we are again, another day, another ride. This is October 22nd, 2016. See Roger here and he'll get run down by his truck. It was a Saturday and our plan was to take 251 and the 50 Village Parkway and eventually get to Heintooga Round Bottom Rd, which at some point in this video you'll see I say Heintooga Round Bottom Rd.
What is it with you?
No, it is Heintooga Round Bottom Rd. It's a road that somebody at Roger's work told him about. He shared it with me. We decided to make a plan. It was about a 97-98 mile ride to get to Heintooga Round Bottom Rd, which from now on I will just call it Heintooga. And then it's a 28 mile drive from Heintooga down into Cherokee, North Carolina. We have to take Balsam Mountain Road to get to Heintooga Road. This particular day was very breezy and very cold. You'll see during the course of this video some of the weather we had to deal with, and you'll hear us talk about the cold. Even so, it was an enjoyable day, and it turned out to be a very interesting and challenging day in some senses.
Good morning, Patrick.
Morning, Roger. What's up?
What's on the agenda today?
Today we are going to take a ride up to Heintooga Round Bottom Rd to go down to Cherokee. It's a 28-mile gravel road. Should be really interesting with this weather.
What are we doing out here in this weather?
We are trying to take one of the last rides of the year, I believe, being that it's middle to late October, and we're hoping to get some riding in before it gets too cold.
It's a little breezy.
It is cold up here.
Before we headed out on this trip, we had some rain, a lot of rain, and of course the temperature dropped for the first time all season. We had cold weather. It's been unusually warm and extremely dry this part of the country this past year.
Yeah, I don't feel like mine's up as high as it could be, but right now it seems to be okay. What are you doing, Roger?
You said you want to get a picture of that.
Is that the only reason we're stopping?
I don't know. You stop, I'm following.
Good. It's a road off the Parkway managed by the National Forest Service over here. And it closes November 1st of every year. Of course, we're only a little more than a week out from November 1st. With the weather we had the previous night being as dry as it was previously, and then the rain and the high winds that we were experiencing both today and overnight last night, we had a little concern about maybe some trees down.
So what are we doing, Patrick?
Freezing our balls off, Roger.
You saying it's chilly?
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit.
Freezing at one point on the trip, didn't we?
32.
That's cold. And I had to wimp out and stop and warm up my hands.
Yeah.
Yeah, use the GoPro as an excuse.
That wind was something else on my neck.
I'm telling you. Like I said, my hands.
This is the Balsam Mountain Spur. A lot of leaves on the road, which was something Roger and I had discussed, that we were concerned that maybe on Heintooga too many leaves might cause some issues with our sight lines. No big deal. The road wasn't anything too terribly rough. Anything that we needed to worry about sight lines. We could just ride pretty much over it right as we went. Nothing to worry about.
We found it.
Where we at, Patrick?
Apparently we're at Heintooga Round Bottom Rd.
An unimproved primitive access.
The key is the one way.
Yeah, one way. I say we ride it then.
I think we have to make that a plan.
28 miles of this.
As I mentioned in the clip just a minute ago, this is a one-way road, which is something Roger and I were really looking forward to. Then we run into this guy. What the heck is going on? Well, this was our first inkling that we were going to have a problem later in the day. This man told us that there was a tree down in the road. He had to turn around and come back. And he told us it was a decent-sized tree, but, you know, what does he know compared to what we're thinking as far as decent-sized tree is concerned?
I think we ought to go check it out. Maybe we can get around. I think because there are cars maybe coming, I'm going to have to move this.
Nah.
So as I was saying, the road is one way. It's a lot rougher than Roger and I thought. We were both a little leery about it because of the recent weather. And that guy that just stopped told us that a tree is down in the road.
After we ran into that guy who told us that there was a tree down in the road and that he had to U-turn, we had to watch our speed and our lines because he told us there was at least half a dozen other cars that were going to have to turn around as well. Now this was a bit disconcerting to Roger because we were beginning to think that maybe we'd have to turn around too. We were hoping that we'd be able to get these bikes over the tree or around the tree, but we were beginning to think that it might not happen. And of all these cars that were told to turn around, most of them did turn around without ever going and seeing the tree. As you'll see here, Roger stops and talks to pretty much every single one trying to get some information, including a stop up here where you'll hear I skid because Roger did not let me know he was stopping. He's done that on an occasion before, but this time you'll hear my bike actually skid, and I think he heard it because things changed a little bit after that. Aside from the concern about the tree being down and when we were going to get to it, how badly it was going to be, we enjoyed this ride. This road was fun. It wasn't a trail. It wasn't anything that, you know, we worried about dropping our bikes. Nothing that we worried about, oh, we're going to be busting on branches with our handlebars. As you can see, it's a road. It was a little rough. There were a lot of rocks here and there, but we've been on worse, actually. This one was more interesting just because it was so narrow and because it was so steep. Not necessarily just the road itself, as you can see we're going downhill here, but off to the side. On the left side here, which for a while it was on our left, oddly enough it switches to our right at one point. But that's a long drop, and with the leaves being off the trees, we were actually able to get some pretty good looks down the hill. It was fun.
Oh, crap. Oh, he warned me he was stopping this time.
after our quick little stop where Roger actually put his directional on to warn me. We pulled in here. Roger wanted to do a little photography, so he had me ride up the road, do a U-turn, and ride back by him so he could record it with his Handycam, which was a new addition to our riding. Something we decided we wanted to just give a shot, maybe see what it was like to record each other. I left this one little clip in here just because this is where we see the transition from the big steep drop on the left to right through this curve, and now it's on the right. We crossed the top of the mountain, I guess, and now we're swinging back down around the other side.
This part is pretty much straight down. This is steep.
Once again, we run into a guy coming the other way, and once again, Roger stopped to see what information we could gather. At this point, our concern was how far away was this tree, and just how bad was it going to be for us. That man in the black Jeep told us that there was no way to get his Jeep over the tree, which is not surprising, and it wouldn't take much. But he told us he pulled out a rope, hooked it to his Jeep, and tried to move the tree, and he said it didn't even budge. He said the Jeep moved a lot more than the tree did. Now later on, Roger and I discussed it when we finally found the tree and we worked on it a little bit. We couldn't find any indication that there was any attempt made to jerk on it with a rope or anything like that. But regardless, we started to get a little nervous again about just how bad this tree was going to be.
Oh, and there's the tree. Well, 10 miles. Almost exactly.
And what was my biggest fear about coming to ride this road today after a windy, rainy day yesterday?
You told me you were concerned that there might be a tree in the road.
What did I say again?
You were concerned there might be a tree in the road.
And what is this?
I'm thinking it's a tree in the road.
Yeah.
But you weren't concerned enough to bring a chainsaw or even a handsaw.
Yeah. Where was I going to put it?
You got a monstrosity of a bike there. You could have fit it somewhere.
That sure is one good-looking blue motorcycle.
Yeah, well, that blue motorcycle needs to figure out a way to get across this tree. This is what you find on Heintooga Round Bottom Rd. Obstacles.
How far do you think we're in?
10 miles.
10 miles.
Almost exactly.
And what was my biggest fear about coming to ride this road today after a windy, rainy day yesterday?
You told me you were concerned that there might be a tree in the road.
What did I say again?
You were concerned there might be a tree in the road.
And what is this?
I'm thinking it's a tree in the road.
Not exactly sure why Roger decided that sweeping the side of the hill was a good thing. But here he goes. He's got a big giant broom and he's just sweeping it up.
We have Kraken. Watch your bike. Okay, watch your step. I think that's it. You don't need to do any more than that. Oh, watch this. Come on this side. Go. Pull me up. Pull me up.
We got my bike over pretty easy. I had a very high clearance and a very light bike. It didn't really have to do much of anything. And after we broke those branches off for me to get my bike over. Then the Rogers, which has a much lower clearance and is much heavier, we started working on it, and it took a little doing. We got caught on it on this skid plate a couple of times, didn't even realize it for a little bit. And then we just basically muscled that thing up and over the street to finally get it to the other side. And we were going to continue our ride, with the exception that some vehicles pulled up behind us, and being the guys that we are, we decided to stay and help. After clearing our bikes, we ended up probably staying another 30 minutes to help two other people in Jeeps using a winch and a hatchet get the tree out of the way, and eventually they ended up catching up to us as we stopped at this bridge you're about to see, and spent a little time goofing around over there.
Good afternoon, Patrick.
What's going on, Roger?
Another day in the life. Where we at?
Well, my guess is we're at the lower end of Heintooga Round Bottom Rd.
Well, when you zoom out on this thing, you better have a good hold of it. You got the shakes.
Just a guess.
What? So we're on Round Bottom Road.
And I believe we still got about 16 more miles to go.
You said how far to go?
16 or 17 more miles to get off of this road.
That's before I get a sandwich?
Say that again?
Is that before I get a sandwich?
No, yeah, that's going to be before we get a sandwich.
Let's quit talking.